think I'm a little bit short on time, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go get ready and finish ready, and maybe I'll open up my camera again when I'm done if I have time. So this is my dress for today's white coat ceremony. I think it's very cute and professional looking. Forgot to record when it was full, but we went through like 8 or 10 different types of steak. And here's Scott, you remember him, and his lovely wife. I'm about to head on to class right now, but after class I am meeting up with a few of my friends and we're gonna eat spicy ramen, and I'm also going to see if they're willing to answer a few of you guys' questions, especially when it comes to the interview and the application process. Hopefully that will help you guys out a little bit. So this is, yeah. So this is Caleb. What was your profession before the
I was a respiratory therapist.
And you guys know Scott, he's been in my video before.
What's up, guys?
What was your profession before AA program?
I was a patient care tech in the recovery unit.
What we've had so far, Scott and I were doing the nuclear one, and then Caleb, he's doing the kimchi one. Yes. So how many schools did you apply to, Scott? Okay, so you only interviewed at one then?
Yes, I applied to one school and I knew where I wanted to be. So
what was the broad generalized category that the questions you were asked for your interview process?
pretty much like a couple questions about my look at decides to show up.
Yeah, really is. Yeah. Who's crying? I think you're the one crying. Dude! Yeah, right, bro?
What?
You're tearing up.
I'm not.
You are.
Tearing up.
I am not tearing up.
What about you, Caleb? How many schools did you interview to?
Oh man, I applied to like every school I could.
Really?
Yeah, I had to say maybe like 7 schools. I got an interview and for every one of them except one.
So I was in the process of applying to multiple schools. Once I got in here, I stopped my application at all the other schools. So technically I only applied to one. But if you don't get an interview, you want to apply to all the schools you can. So maybe I should refer you.
Yeah.
The greater your chances of getting in, the more schools you apply to. So.
I think the only reason I applied to 3, because I applied to 3 total, was because I didn't do early application. Like I submitted my application pretty late, which you should not do. Totally not recommended. I mean, granted, I got all 3 interviews, but still, it's better to apply early than to wait. How were the overall interview process? Did they ask similar questions, or was
it's different from place to place. Some were more like if you were a leader, name a time you were a leader, and then some other schools wanted to see your personality more than anything.
Were you asked a lot of science questions in those 7 interviews?
Yes. There's specific schools. I don't know if I should be naming it.
No, there's no name it.
There's specific schools.
We're not officially affiliated with any institution.
yeah.
Let's not put anybody's name on here.
So there's specific.
Only 2 semesters in. Let's not get us kicked out already.
That they're more towards asking questions based on what you write on your resume, what you just science questions, what you know, what you might know. And what would you do kind of scenarios. So.
I was asked a lot of what would you do type of scenario questions, more than science or background knowledge questions.
Yeah. They want to see how fast you respond to certain situations. Well, it depends on the school. So some actually want to see how they put you. Oh my goodness, they put you sometimes you could be by yourself in an interview, or you could be in a group. If you're in a group, you're kind of put against each other to see who has the better answer or who responds faster, basically, yeah.
For mine, I would have to say, so we started off in a conference room, and there were 6 of us interviewing, and we had a one-on-one interview with the director of the program, so it was very kind of I don't want to say, it definitely wasn't competitive. It was a more, at least for me, the way I'm comfortable, or the way I feel comfortable, it was a more one-on-one kind of experience, more focusing on my experiences and what would make me a better candidate for this program and an evaluation just based on what I would bring to the program. It's a two-sided aspect when you're applying to schools. They're also looking for talent. So I think sometimes you have to keep that in mind in terms of what's the best fit for you. A lot of times people get stuck on, I just want to get into a program, but you also want to get into the program that you feel like best suits your learning style, best suits your needs. And based on when I met with the director, I felt like my personality and a lot of the characteristics that I bring to the table fit better where I'm at now.
What was your decision on why you chose our program instead of the others that you interviewed at?
So with my first interview, I didn't really prepare for it, so I kind of went into it like unprepared. It was not exactly what you want to do. It was my least. Like, I consider it, my last choice.
Oh, okay.
Which is something you don't want to say at the place in the interview. It was called like a pre-lunch or something like that. I can't remember the exact name, but we would have the night before the interview. We just get to know each other. We go in there just to eat, and talk, and whatever.
I kind of know which school this is.
To reduce stress. And then,
once again, we're not affiliated with the program. Just to put that out there.
And then I was asked the question, why would you choose this program versus any other program? And I didn't have a good answer for that. And he actually was like, okay, you need to come back tomorrow and give me a better answer.
Oh, dang. Yeah. But you still didn't answer the question of why you chose this program, like our program.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's the best place to be. Where else would you want to be?
Why not?
Obviously.
Not affiliated. No.
I didn't say any names. But obviously, they're the best because we're here. And if you don't think you're the best at what you're doing, then why do you show up for work every day? So keep that in mind.
And the interviewers really felt they made me feel more comfortable. They didn't put that pressure on me.
Yeah.
They made me feel like I was wanted. So definitely this was the better choice.
That makes sense.
And why the other ones, it felt like they try to put pressure, but it felt more competitive.
You just felt like it was a better fit here.
Yeah.
And just to reinforce what we're saying, these are all based on our personal. It's like a puzzle piece, right? So it's what's important to me might not be important to Jasmine, might not be important to Caleb. So it's all based on like personal opinion. So it's not to necessarily say that this school is better than this one, but it's better than that one. You got to find out what's best for you, because what's best for me might not be best for you. So that's all up to each person's fit or what you're looking for out of your experience. You're hoping to be fortunate enough to get into somebody's program, right? But that's just half of it. You have to make sure you get into the program that helps you develop your talent the best way that you can. So it's a two-way street here. And like Jasmine said earlier, applying early.
Yeah.
The earlier you apply, the better your chances are. And speaking to other friends and colleagues that have also applied to programs, a lot of the ones that got in were early applicants.
If you're part of that early decision, your chances of getting accepted is much more higher than when you are doing regular or late application.
With everything within this process, you want to do it as early as possible, just in case something needs to be adjusted, fixed. Your transcripts, do it as early as possible, just in case there are any hiccups with anything. You have time to get everything submitted before your deadline actually reaches.
What's the one area that made you stand out the most in your opinion? Like, what was the strongest point of your candidate profile?
That'd be a good question for my director. Because I didn't write my acceptance letter, obviously. But in my opinion, I would have to say it's a combination of my academic experience and also my professional experience. I worked at a hospital for the past 5 years. I didn't work necessarily in anesthesia, but I worked close to it, to where I was exposed to a lot of things related to anesthesia.
I have a decent feeling that my background had played a huge part of it, because as a respiratory therapist, I got a lot of ICU experience. And they like people who had hours in the hospital, that worked hours in the hospital. So I feel like that played a pretty huge part of what made me stick out, because a lot of the interviewers that I was with were just like graduating from, from college.
Gotcha, yeah.
So they didn't really have that experience that I had. So I feel like that made me stick out a little more.
I know that grades aren't everything, but they do play a very big part on their perspective of you and how you will do in the program, because they're not going to accept students or candidates that are subpar, or they are straight B's and C students. Like you need some A's in your transcript.
Like Jasmine said, having the best grades possible, of course, is the easiest way to nip that in the bud, I guess.
I can tell you guys right now that you can have all the healthcare experience in the world, but if you don't have the grades, they're not gonna even look at you. And that's like from experience, from seeing other people, that you gotta do good in your GRE. You gotta have decent grades.
Just meet the requirements, right?
Yeah.
I think this is the difference between applying to our field versus applying to PA. The direct patient care hours are not counted the same way. It's not a requirement on your application.
Yeah, I don't think like past anesthesia experience was required as part of any of the CASA application.
I had 0 past.
Yeah, it does help boost your application because you've been exposed to that environment and to that field. And
also communicate with your the school that you're interested in applying to. A lot of times they'll be straightforward with you and tell you what, with your situation, you need to improve this or you need to improve that.
That's very true.
Like I said, the best way to get the information is to go to the source itself. So once you find out what school you want to go to or narrow it down to a small list, start reaching out to the people that are in those programs and see what they're looking for. They might say, hey, go back and retake this GRE or go back and retake this class or whatever advice they may give you. But go to that specific school, that specific institution and figure out what they're looking for and let them give you advice because they're the ones that's making the decision for you to get in or not. So
I know that recommendation letters, those are required to get them from your professors, get them from your supervisor or your boss or manager, get them from people who would make you look good.
Yes, very important. We're going to reiterate this one more time. The earlier you get these letters, the better. Because a lot of times these people have jobs, they have families, they're teaching, they have stuff going on outside of you. So the earlier you get that letter of recommendation to them, because you're probably going to have to chase some people around. The earlier you get that process started, the better it is for you. So keep that in mind as well. And show personality, of course. Like I said, different programs look for different things, but I don't think having a personality is going to ever hurt you in a negative, or hurt you at all.
Are all of your interview in person or virtual?
Yeah, it was
virtual.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Mine was virtual.
Of course, COVID had just started.
Yours
was virtual?
Yeah,
nice.
For our program. No, actually for 2 of them, they were virtual. The only
towards the end.
Yeah.
Once COVID started kicking. So yeah, like I said, 5 out of the 6. I can't remember the other person, but there's 5 that I vividly remember that I see in class every day. Yeah, we all made it in and.
That's really cool.
I'm pretty proud. I'm pretty proud of our group. So
for my only in-person interview, there were 15 of us.
Wow.
Yeah, 15 of us in one room, and they were looking to only accept 4 of us.
At this institution?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, at another institution.
And they told you guys that?
Yeah. Because like we asked.
Pretty cutthroat, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean,
hey, there's only 4 guys that in. Who's gonna take it? No.
It's one way to put pressure on people.
It's because at the end we asked, and they told us straight on that they're looking for 4 to accept and maybe just 1 or 2 to put on wait list or whatever. Yeah. And for our program,
can't relate. I mean, I guess I don't want to make it seem like I'm nonchalant or just arrogant or anything like that.
I'm kidding.
My mindset is I was invited for an interview, so the opportunity is obviously still there because nobody just interviews for the fun of it. And I'm gonna put my best foot forward, and whatever happens from there happens.
Also, definitely have questions prepared for them. They might, just they want to see, you want to make it look like you're interested.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
Yeah, never just say no, you don't have any questions. Just come up with one, just quick. Okay?
It's actually a trick question. The answer to that is always yes. It's always yes. If you're talking to somebody and in the middle of your answer, they kind of start drifting away and condense your answer and get straight to the point. If you're talking to them and they're kind of still looking at you like they want more, elaborate more on your answer. So reading body language is something that may serve beneficial to a lot of people.
It doesn't hurt to study before you get into the program. Too, so. If you're like a super achiever, so,
it does help a lot.
And pre-reading definitely.
Yeah, because that first week of our first semester, I was like, whoa, wait.
So time management is very important. Discipline, knowing when to. I'm a little bit older, so I don't really have a party time anymore. But knowing when it's time to hang out and knowing when it's time to study. And knowing your weaknesses, detecting them, and doing something about it, not just sitting there and just letting it build up, right? Eventually, we're going to be providers that have literally somebody's lives in our hand. I don't know about you guys, and when I lay down on the table, hopefully I never have to, but if I did, I want the person behind me to be well-equipped and prepared to take care of me. So have that same respect for your future patient.
Yeah, if you don't enjoy what you do, you're not going to be there long doing what you're doing.
Yeah, which is why this is my I decided to change my career. I found out what I was really passionate about, and I made the career change.
What was the previous path you were going to take?
I worked in human resources for about 2 years. I sat in a cubicle and decided cube life is not for me. So decided to get out of the cube. I went into the hospital, saw some things like most people do. If you don't work in the hospital, you don't really know the ins and outs of it. So I started working in the hospital, and I saw PAs, I saw surgeons, and then I saw this other group of people like AAs, and I was like, oh, what do they do? And then the more I learned about it, the more I became interested, and now I'm here.
So what do you guys say? We destroy this challenge?
Yeah,
I would say I destroyed the challenge.
Scott was so proud. No, Scott was like struggling, but he pulled through. He pulled through.
I have, so Jasmine's gonna go viral, right? So I'm gonna have millions of witnesses to confirm.
You finished first.
He did finish
Sure
first,
did,
yeah.
by a long shot.
Yeah, he was just, he didn't want to stop because otherwise the spice would set in.
He used a sweater to wipe away.
And to be fair, they were talking more at the beginning of the interview while I was stuffing my face with food. So
that's true.
I kind of strategized a little bit with that. So.
Yeah, she was asking the questions.
Yeah.
So
I was
like,
go ahead, keep talking, guys. Keep talking.
Was it good though? I really like that.
No, it is.
It wasn't as
is.
spicy as I remembered it. Maybe we should try the 2 times nuclear next time.
I thought this was the 2 times.
No, this is the
Oh,
first. This is the
yeah.
1 time.
I thought we were doing it.
I'll buy the whole pack.
This week stuff is to get out of my face.
If you guys have any other questions, just leave them down in the comments below and I'll get to them, or I have one of these two answer them for you in the
Back
next
on the hot
video.
seat. And click that subscribe button.
Yeah, hit it.
Oh my
Hit it.
I think it was going to be right here.
I have no idea.
Or on this side. I'm going to point both sides. Hit the subscribe
I'll
button.
point up here.
Alright, bye guys.